All right, we are live. Let's go on YouTube, on Facebook, and in about 3.5 seconds, we'll be live on Instagram as well. And really excited. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I passed. Yes, I passed. Spent all week last week, literally 4 to 8 hours every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to study and learn about certified exit planning. Certified exit planning, basically what it is, it's great business strategy. If you prepare your business to sell, you are literally building a well-oiled machine. I've talked about this on the YouTube channel. It's so important. So what a CEPA is a certified exit planning advisor. Thanks to the Exit Planning Institute. Shout out to you guys. We're definitely going to get them on the podcast. We'll get Steve Snyder on there. He's the owner of the Exit Planning Institute. And yeah, no, just really exciting just to keep moving on with my career, keep growing it as much as I can. Before the end of the year, I will be CBI certified as well, which is a certified business intermediary, which is basically business brokering and helping selling of businesses. And I'm just really excited because not only is this going to be good for the overall entrepreneurial community, but this is community. This is going to be great for the public adjuster community as well. One of the things that I've learned over the years and I shared it on Instagram actually yesterday. One of the 3 value drivers, okay, that you've got that really increase the value of your company. One of the 3 is recurring revenue. And I've been a public adjuster for 16 years now. And, never in my career have I seen a public adjuster with recurring revenue. The business model for public adjusters is sign a claim, inspect the claim, and work the claim, negotiate the claim, then settle the claim. The problem with that is that you don't get paid until the claim gets paid. It's very difficult. You're constantly, it's an endless grind. And trust me, again, 16 years in this grind of signing more claims. That's why there's a meme that I shared on our Instagram page a long time ago. And it's that meme with the guy walking with his girlfriend and he's like looking back. And it's basically looking back at another girl, but the new girl says new claim. And you have here like existing claim or something like that. And it's a constant grind as a public adjuster where, yes, the only way you get paid is by closing claims. But if you don't keep signing new claims, then eventually that pipeline runs out. And every public adjuster has a goal of how many claims they want to sign per month, per quarter, per month, per year. And it's exhausting because you're constantly having to network and go out there and just find new claims. You have to hit, that you have to hit that new claims goal of signing new claims no matter what. But what happens is it just becomes overwhelming because you put the settling of the claim on the back burner, which is ultimately the only way you get paid. And you're working for free. Any new public adjuster knows that they're basically broke for like the first year to 2 years of their career because it's just signing and waiting and signing and working and signing and negotiating and just waiting for that claim to get paid. And it's a business model that I think is broken. And it makes the survival of the public adjuster that much more difficult. I don't know what the percentage is, but way more, I'm sure, than half of the public adjusters that go into the industry are out of the industry within 1 or 2 years. How do you deal with mortgage companies holding checks? I'll get to you, Zach. That's another thing, though, Zach, is the check. So you finally get the claim settled, you finally get a check, and now you have to deal with the mortgage company as well. The point of this is that you should not be waiting for a year to get paid on a claim. You're putting all this work in for no money. You're working for free until you finally get paid. Now, some of those paydays are big paydays. That's great, but it's very difficult to work that way. You also can't predict cash flow because we could scream and yell about how we settle for 80% of our estimate, but sometimes you're going to settle for 50% of your estimate. Sometimes you're going to settle for 100% of your estimate. Sometimes you're going to settle for 60% of your estimate. So you can't even predict cash flow because you really truly don't know how much you're going to settle that claim for. It might end up in litigation. And then even in litigation, it might fall flat. We used to have a folder of that we called what did we call that folder? It was like just claims that are dead in the water, like just no go. Something happened with the client did this, whatever. That happens too. You have to account for that as well. So anyway, it's very difficult to scale your business without, number one, cash flow, and number two, predictable cash flow. And the way you get predictable cash flow is through recurring services. So the reason why I started Commercial Claims Advocate was really because, no offense, not because I wanted to help the public adjusting industry, at least not when I started. Eventually it turned into that, definitely a passion project, just really giving back to my industry. But I wanted to find some way that I could just start making cash and not having to wait for insurance claims. And it was a perfect scenario for me because I had just moved to Tampa and I hadn't signed claims for a while because I was in transition from moving from Miami to Tampa, and I needed cash flow. So that's where the courses and the books came in, right? Cash flow, people actually purchasing. And then the mastermind and just different, month-to-month things. That's where the recurring revenue came in. And I was able to do that, but I did it by having to actually start a completely new business. Now, what I'm trying to now really instill in the public adjusters in our mastermind in particular is implementing a recurring revenue or productizing your service in a way. So one way you could productize your service is by actually taking your claims package and selling it. As opposed to signing it on contingency, you sell your claim package. You do your inspection, you put your report together, your photos, your narrative, and everything else, and you just sell that and you're out. Now, sure, it might be a $100,000 claim where you can make $10,000 or $20,000 and you sell it for, say, $2,500. However, at least you get the cash flow up front. You can go on to the next one. Another way that you could have now recurring revenue for a public adjuster, one way is with, I call it a pre-loss risk assessment. So like for Florida public adjusters, we have storm season that's already started. You could literally provide a pre-loss risk assessment where you do the same thing that I just said you do in your claim package. You inspect the home, you document any kind of damages, you do a thorough review of the policy, you give yourself give a narrative, you do suggestions of whatever repairs that need to be made, and you could charge for that without them even having a claim. And the beauty about that is you could have other people refer you. You could give them a referral fee because it's not about an actual insurance claim. And you could also upsell other people's services and get a referral fee in return because you're not actually working a claim. You're doing a pre-claim sort of inspection report. Call it an inspection report. And then you could maybe do some kind of recurring model where you could come back every 6 months or every quarter to take a look at their policy, review anything, or you could store their policy information and whatever else that you've got, and they could have access to it so they could upload more repairs and stuff that they do. You could be like their go-to sort of home inspector type of person so that if a claim does happen, you've got everything documented, everything ready to go to really maximize their claim when it does come down to it, and you could avoid any kind of pre-existing exclusion denials. And it's really something I'm advocating for, and I'm even speaking about it in Philadelphia. I forgot the name of it's like one of those Appias. I'm sorry, Holly, if I'm butchering it, but there's a public adjuster association in Philadelphia that I'm going to be speaking in October, and I have literally been asked to speak about just this subject because it makes sense. What happens and what's happening, and quite frankly, what's happened to me as well. To be completely honest with you, I'm not working as much public adjusting as much as I used to. I still have elite resolutions. We still have our adjusters. We still have some administrators that are working in the company to keep it going. But I think after 16 years, guys, I have to admit to you, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with having to continue to find new claims. I'm exhausted with fighting with the insurance carriers constantly. Would you all know it is, Rich, it's not Mapia. No, it's another one. It's PAGPS or something like that. It's exhausting. I'm not working nearly as many. I'm really focused on the exit strategy, business brokering. I'm basically in a completely new industry, but it also can relate to public adjusters. And I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with fighting with the insurance carriers. I'm exhausted with me providing all the documentation and information and then just telling us to fuck off, ultimately telling me still no. And then I feel like I'm writing an email and all I'm doing is just like waving my hands in the air and complaining. And that's not a good feeling. And I'm exhausted. And, I've been talking to other public adjusters. I talk to other public adjusters all the time. And I've talked to someone else who speaks to a lot of public adjusters as well. And she understands that also there's just a lot of public adjusters that have been doing this for a long time and they're exhausted as well. And it's very, very difficult to do what I'm doing right now, which is be dedicated to an industry for 6 years and now make a shift to a new industry of exit planning, business brokering, and just overall business owners. I tell you, it's been very, very stressful over the last 2 months, basically launching a new business, which if you haven't seen some of our ads, we do have ads where we offer a value clarity roadmap, which is phenomenal, that I put a lot of time in. But, what I don't want, I don't think that the public adjusting industry will go away, but I do think that if we as public adjusters do not make a switch, make a transition into a different kind of business model, into a more expanded kind of business model where you could actually bring in cash flow as opposed to having to wait months and sometimes years in litigation to just get paid on a claim, I don't know how well that's going to go for the future of our industry, because the insurance companies are making it much more difficult to actually just pay claims, and you're having to do a lot more work than you did before. So why not get paid on that work? So one of the options, you got to look at your state guidelines, is again, selling the inspection report. So instead of signing the claim on contingency, you just sell the inspection report and allow the insured to deal with the insurance company based on your recommendations and the report that you have, so they could submit to the insurance company. Let them deal with it. Because what does that take away from you now? It takes away from, number one, having to wait to get paid. You get, let's say, $2,500 up front. And number two, having to exhaust yourself with following up with the insurance company on a weekly basis, negotiating, going to the inspection, meeting with the adjuster, fighting with the adjuster, and all the stress that comes behind that. Imagine that, taking that part away. Because believe it or not, for you new adjusters, you may not be feeling it now, but I'm telling you, it becomes exhausting, those arguments, those fighting, because I don't feel, some of you guys have met your natural born fighters, okay? But I believe that the majority of public adjusters that I meet, we're not natural fighters. We're lovers, man. Love. It's all about love. And this industry there's no love when you come to battling with the insurance company. It's no love. It's all fighting. Because even when you try to be nice these days, I used to always say kill them with kindness. But even when you try to be nice these days, they just turn back and say, no, go screw yourself. And it's just it's exhausting, So if you could charge up front for your claim package, that's one way. Number two way is, I don't know in what states this would be allowed, but you would basically have to devise a new contract, where as opposed to working on contingency, you work on a retainer. Okay. This is something that I'm really trying to push through legislation and stuff like that. I am in the background trying to see how we could get some of these passed, because a lot of states require that the public adjuster work contingency. Well, what if we could work a retainer? So you charge $2,500 for your claims package, you get $2,500. And then you say, hey, if you need my help throughout the claims process, because, they're telling you no, and they're doing this and they're doing that, I will charge an upfront retainer of, say, I don't know, $1,000 for 4 hours of work. Okay. So $250 an hour. And you give them 4 hours. Once those 4 hours are done, if you haven't settled the claim by then, which you might likely will, then you ask for another $1,000. Again, what's the point of this? It's getting your money up front as opposed to having to wait. Now, the other option is just signing it on contingency, but after you've already completed the claim package. And if that contingency has to be a certain percentage, because most states you could only charge a certain percentage of the total amount of the claim, then with that, you would just have to adjust it based on the $2,500 that you received, which is fine. At the end of the day, you've received $2,500, and now you're just back to where you would have been in the beginning of now charging a contingency, which could ultimately get you more money anyway. I believe we can get away with that in most states. $2,500 for your claim package, and then contingency if they need more help, and you just get paid the difference of that $2,500. So that's not terrible. So that's that. I just believe that what I'm trying to do now is another opportunity for myself to basically launch a new business as a certified exit planning advisor officially. I can literally put letters after my name now for the first time in my life. And as a certified business intermediary, business broker, I have literally finished all of the courses. The only thing that I have left to do is actually take the exam. I am in the process of working a deal, pest control deal here in the local Florida area. That should be complete, I think, within the next couple of months. And I'm really trying to launch this career. But will never stop being a public adjuster. I am a licensed public adjuster. I will continue to renew and do my CE and do everything that I can. And, I will refer out claims whenever I have. We still have elite resolutions, by the way. We've got 6 adjusters that work throughout the country. We've got an amazing administrative team that helps on the back end. And it's just something I'm very excited about now with the certified exit planning advisor designation, that we could really take businesses to the next level. But also there is definitely a way, thank you, Cindy, that we could take public adjusting to the next level as well. It's time to start treating our public adjusting businesses. And I'm talking not only to the public adjuster firm owners, I'm talking to the individual public adjusters as well. Chances are you're working at a company where you're having to work the claim from A to Z. I think you should really think about talking to the owner of the firm, if you are just a public adjuster, and ask if you could at least give it a shot. Okay. Everybody in our mastermind has already put recurring revenue models together, and they are now slowly implementing it. Everybody in our mastermind has a template that they have for their claim package that they are also attempting to sell as a one-time fee to any client that actually wants it. Everybody in our mastermind has officially implemented their pre-loss risk assessment. And it's pretty exciting to see. And I'm curious to see how it's going to go, to see whether or not they're actually going to be able to generate some cash flow. When claims come in, and think about it too, guys, when you do a pre-loss risk assessment, if you find damage and you start talking to the client and ask them when they think this damage might have occurred, they may tell you of a storm that was there just a couple of weeks ago, that for sure that's when that damage was caused. Now, you just went from a pre-loss risk assessment that you're charging for to an actual claim that you have just signed. Also, you can hire salespeople who are not public adjusters to sell this product, pre-loss risk assessment, recurring revenue, because they don't have to be licensed adjusters to actually sell this product, because they're not acting as public adjusters. So it's just an interesting way of looking at things. This is something that I learned from my own business coach myself. This is something that we are implementing as the business brokerage that I've partnered up with, where we are offering a 3-tiered system, which is product, recurring, brokering. Brokering is not that much different than public adjusting. If you want to sell your business and you list your business with me, I am going to work and find and market that deal, that business, to find a buyer, sort of like real estate, to ultimately purchase your business. But it takes 9 to 12 months. I ain't waiting 9 to 12 months to get paid on that brokering deal. So we offer a value clarity report, which we charge $3,000 for, which includes evaluation of your business along with a roadmap for your personal, financial, and business future. And then the second thing we do is we offer recurring revenue, which is basically you could basically get coached by us, all right, to ultimately increase the value of that business over time. I'm actually partnering with business coaches to help me provide this service that I get a percentage off every single time I basically give them a referral for that under our umbrella of our brokerage. And then when it's time to sell their business, we've got all the information from the valuation. We update that valuation every year, by the way, and we provide a brand new roadmap, personal, business, financial, every single year. So that's already recurring, but they also meet with the business coach every month or every quarter to actually increase that valuation. So, and we provide a portal that they can go ahead and see their valuation increase over time. It's a beautiful thing. And ultimately, it leads to the brokering of the business. Go on my Instagram and take a look at a thing I shared from another Instagrammer. And he talks about literally as soon as the month starts, he receives like hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is a multi-million dollar business that he's got. But as soon as the month starts, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in recurring revenue. He said 70% of his revenue is recurring. That's sick. If you can get there, that makes your business so sellable. But it's also a good business strategy so you could actually provide money and generate income into your business so you don't have to wait so long to actually get it. And recurring revenue, man, it's a gold mine. It's one of the value drivers. The other 2 value drivers are making sure that you're in a niche industry. So if you're a public adjuster, yes, that is your own sort of niche, but do you specialize in homes? Do you specialize in commercial? Do you specialize in water damage? Do you specialize in wood floor damage? Do you specialize in roofs and hailstorms, right? You could get a niche within the niche. That's very important as well, that you've sort of mastered. And then the last thing is owner dependency. And owner dependency, I think we all know, we see on social media all the time, is you need to remove yourself and start hiring the right people. As soon as I started the brokering part, the brokering side of my business, basically what I did is I've got 2 admins with Elite Resolutions. I've got my marketing team already set up. So the marketing is there. Okay. The next thing I did is I basically have an executive assistant that helps me with everything from scheduling to all of my emails. Just I don't check any emails basically. I only have to check maybe 1 or 2 a day, the ones that I have to take care of. So that's been a huge weight that's lifted off. I'm also having some operations help with the actual building of these reports. Because a lot of it is just based on the information that I get, and the report can be built by somebody else, and then I can check it. But instead of me having to do it, it allows me more time for, let's say, sales. I've been doing a lot of sales, but also we've got sales team that's going to be coming in within the next 2 to 4 weeks that are going to be actually to take all those leads that are coming in or do outbound cold leads so that we can start generating like some real business. So it's very important that I'm always trying to remove myself. Does that sometimes cost money? It always costs money. But if you're growing your business, if you have some money that you could put in, you have to start by at least getting an administrator to take you out of the administrative tasks so you could focus on the things, because if not, you become a major bottleneck in your business, and it is no bueno. It is not good. So you have to be able, and there's a lot of options. There's virtual options. There's the Philippines options. There's South America options. There's a lot of virtual assistant companies out there. I know a couple of them that are fantastic, that if you want the information, just shoot me a DM and I'll be happy to get you that. But removing yourself slowly but surely. And the way that goes, it really is very important. It is administrative, delivery, marketing, sales. Once you get those 4, you put yourself in that leadership position and you are only doing a couple of things. And you are just focusing on scaling the business. I cannot tell you how important that is. Okay. If you're able to buy back that much of your time and you could focus on the things that not only that light you up, but ultimately really truly scale the business and keep the business moving to where you want it to go, I'm telling you, it is like a no-brainer. But also, when it is time to sell your business, or what I like to say, when that offer comes your way to buy your business, maybe something you haven't even been talking about, and the number is really nice, and you've managed to have recurring revenue, you've managed to get yourself out of the business, you managed to be in a niche, your systems and operations are tight. By the way, in my companies, we're constantly putting together SOPs. Like, you don't even know. Every day, literally, I just had a meeting with my assistant, and when I said, okay, create an SOP based on that. And I even have a way that we create the SOPs as well. Every day we're creating new SOPs, by the way, because everything should be a systemized process on doing it. And if you want my advice on how to do that, we have a spreadsheet that we created that is just like amazing, so that you could access every single one. We're building that out right now as well. So we're constantly building things out as well. Guys, if you think that I'm perfect, God knows that I am not perfect. Constantly looking at ways to continue to improve as much as possible. But we're still building stuff that sometimes you think that should just be built in the beginning of your career. I'm still building that stuff too. We're still building SOPs. We're still building marketing techniques and strategies and different things like that, and just constantly trying to get better, as long as you're always trying to get better. So that's what we got, guys. Guys, awesome. Got some nice views today. Really appreciate some of the comments. Yo, good morning, Ezra. Let's go. Cool. Nice emojis coming at you. Let's go. Any questions, guys? I'll leave it open for questions. If not, I will close. But I would love, if you guys are public adjusters or just business owners in general, and you have some questions, I'd love to get some questions going. If there's anything that you are looking to find out about. How do you deal with the mortgage companies holding the checks? You just got to keep following up with the mortgage company ultimately, and you have to abide by their process, which is making sure that there's an intent to repair sign, making sure there's a contractor involved, making sure that you're going to actually do the work. You know, it's a real pain with the mortgage company. We use Ink on some of these things, but basically sometimes you just have to ultimately follow up with the mortgage company yourself, or you have to have the client follow up with the mortgage company as well. Where are you located? I'm located in Tampa, Florida. Lutz, to be exact, right outside of Tampa. Vince, thank you for the knowledge, dropping gems. Great advice to hire a public adjuster when needed. Yeah, so, all right, guys, that's it. That's my 30-minute live every single Friday at 11:30 a.m. sharp. Be sure to stay tuned next Friday. Be sure to watch our Monday podcast which is phenomenal. Our guests are like the best. We've got two wrestling champions on Monday's show, by the way, which I think you're going to really like. Marketing geniuses, to be honest, using wrestling to market themselves in their own business as well. How do you pay your PAs split fees? We give them a percentage. Now me, the way I've got my public adjusting firm set up, hold on, don't go away. Just got to let this dog out. The way I've got my public adjusting firm set up is basically our public adjusters get majority. By the way, Delta Public Adjusting, follow that guy. Great content. But the way we do our splits, I give them the majority. Because they're working their claims from A to Z. My admin, I have one admin that works at the company, and that admin, basically what she does is she helps submit the claim. She creates the file on the CRM, which we use Claim Wizard. And then that's pretty much it. Submits the claim, creates the file. Then the public adjuster takes over from there. And then we have an administrator that takes care of the check processing. But even the check processing we do through Inc. Or we just follow up with making sure that we get our fee first. Then we mail it out. I still actually handle the mail stuff because it's not that difficult to do. And then she tells me who to mail it out to, so on and so forth. And then it keeps track to make sure we get paid. Or we go through Inc. and we just follow up through the Inc. process to get paid. And then, like I said, Delta, to pay our public adjusters, we range anywhere from basically 60-70%. 60-70% is what we pay our adjusters because, quite frankly, they're doing all the work from A to Z. And it allows me to continue to do what I want to do. It allows our administrators to not have to, just continuously be in the claims. My administrator, who helps with the submitting of the claim and the creating the file, also helps with my claims tremendously. So yeah, I don't think that it should be less. It should not be less than 50%, especially if they're going to be working A to Z. If you have an inside desk adjuster, that's a different story. That you're paying a salary, that's also an option. The problem I ran into, Delta, with having a desk adjuster is the problem I ran into is that it just became too costly, but that's not what it was. The problem that I ran into was that they weren't on site. So I think what I ran into, listen to this, with the desk adjuster is the same issue that we have with the insurance adjuster. What are we dealing with when we're dealing with an insurance claim? We're working with a desk adjuster. And what do we always say? That desk adjuster sitting in a cubicle who's never actually been out to this property and has no idea what's going on. I kind of ran into the same issue when we had desk adjusters, where if the public adjuster did not put a thorough file together, it was very difficult for the desk adjuster to sort of put themselves in that home and actually the experience of the damages that occurred to that home. It also became very costly because we did a salary plus percentage. So if you could work out a way where if it equals out to that 60-70%, where sort of some of it's going to the desk adjuster and some of it's going to the field adjuster, say, then maybe that's something you could work out. But to me, the easiest thing, Delta, is just to train your adjusters, give them majority, and you go out and you keep doing your thing. It's the easiest thing. And I think 60-70% is a pretty sweet spot where you can be at, where you're only getting 30-40%, and then move them up, little by little. But it takes a lot of responsibility away from you. They take ownership of it. It works way better. They're not going to go anywhere because, at 70%, it's going to cost them 30% to run their own business anyway. And I think they're a lot happier. Again, they get full responsibility, so they take ownership, and you just help them answer that call and answer those questions, meet them out at a property if need be. And that's that. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I've tried every single different model. And then it allows you time to maybe implement that recurring revenue model. It allows you time to maybe implement that productized service. Cindy, what are you doing when the carrier circumvents the PA contract and sends the check directly to the policyholder? Here's what's funny about that, Cindy, is I would tell you that years ago, I wouldn't care because I could count on one hand of how many upset clients that I had. I will tell you, though, in the last 5 years or so, it has been very difficult because the insurance company has been giving us such a hard time where it's making us look bad. So the last thing that you want, in particular in flood claims, is when that check goes out to the carrier or to the homeowner and they're just like, well, you didn't do anything. Why should I pay you? I don't owe you this much. I think you only did half of that, so I'll pay you half the amount. That's an issue. It's one of the things that I'm talking about, where the industry has gotten to a point where it's become very difficult. So how do I handle that? Well, you have to be on top of it, which is why I have an administrator that helps me with that, and send them that invoice. And you got to collect. And you have to make it a process of how your administrator actually follows up to make sure. We do have a demand letter that we send out as well. It's a final demand letter. And then we do have a collections agency that we work with. Never want to do that though, because not never. I hate doing that because they take a big chunk. I forgot how much it was. I think it's like 20 to 40% that they take. I can't remember. I don't want to say 40 and then it's too much. I don't want to say 20 and it's too little, but I want to say it's about 40% that they take. So it's pretty brutal. Or you get an attorney involved to at least send a demand letter and maybe that'll straighten them out. But yeah, it sucks. I know. I understand. Nancy, invoice decline in the carrier and give them 10 days to pay. Yeah, but even sometimes that doesn't work. We have collections attorney that can help you. Yep, Nancy, thank you. That definitely collections is the way to go. They just take a huge chunk. That's why it's so important to constantly stay in touch with your clients. It's just harder now, Nancy. It's very important to stay in touch with your client, but the problem is not even staying in touch with your client. The problem is when the insurance company just keeps telling you no, and you don't really end up making a huge impact on the settling of their claim, or your client doesn't think so because they didn't even pay close to your estimate. I'm just saying these things happen. The problem more of is the value of our service sometimes goes unnoticed. And when the client gets their check directly, they want to come back and tell you, well, you don't deserve that much. That's when you have to get collections involved. King Caesar, how can you make your niche in commercial claims? That is a niche already. You're a public adjuster and you are in commercial claims. How do you do it? I would suggest that you get some really good knowledge. Get yourself courses, get yourself certifications. That's why I just got my SEPA certification, is because I am trying to get into this niche of exit planning, not just brokering. I want to be more than just a business broker. I want to be an exit strategist that could totally walk you through the entire process of scaling your company to the point where it becomes a well-oiled machine that you could sell tomorrow for top maximum value. And I'm getting certifications and education and knowledge in order to do that. King Caesar, if you want to be a niche and you want to be in the commercial claims, you have to start educating yourself tremendously, because I will tell you, the first conversation you have with a contractor on top of a building that's got TPO roof or whatever it is, and you don't know the language, you don't speak the lingo, and you just fail one word where you sound like an idiot, you do not have that contractor as a referral partner. So you need to get licenses, education. If you're all in on that, King Caesar, I strongly recommend that you set a couple of goals here by the end of the year to get particular certifications that are particular to commercial buildings. You have to learn the construction side of it, because the only way you're going to get those referrals are not by the building owners, but they're going to be by the contractors that specialize in commercial contracting. There's going to be the property managers that specialize in shopping malls and associations and so on and so forth. That's the only way you're going to get those jobs. And the only way you're going to get referrals from those guys is to make sure that you actually speak that language. So make sure that you get certified and you get education. It's simply not even for the certification. Guys, literally in 8 months, right? It's August 1st. I am a licensed real estate agent. I am a certified exit planning advisor, and I'm a certified business intermediary. It's not because I really wanted those 3 licenses. Well, the real estate was just to become a business broker, but the other 2, it's literally just for education. I'm also going to get a certified valuation advisor, CVA, certified valuation. The only reason why I'm getting that is just to learn more. The only reason why is because I'm literally in a new industry, starting off something brand new that I've never done before. I'm in the finance industry, which is freaking nuts. And the only way I could fast track myself in becoming an expert in this is by getting these certifications. Not because I want the letters after my name, but because I want to educate myself more and learn more and more and more and more. You have to just go all in and learn as much as you can. If you want to specialize in commercial, go all in and learn as much as you can. Educate yourself as much as you can. That's what you have to do. Nancy, if you have any language in your contract that makes a client pay your attorney fees, yes, you should have that the client has to pay your attorney fees. Shadow with a public adjuster who specializes in commercial claims until you know what you're doing. Yep, I would even shadow with a contractor that specializes in commercial damage and commercial repairs. So what else we got? Any other questions? I like it. It's live. The live is live today. Love it. What's up? Luis, my man, fellow elite resolutions public adjuster. Let's go. Delta, thank you for the compliment. Love it. Getting through the gatekeeper to the decision maker for commercial claim. Just no, the gatekeeper is going to be your commercial contractors, man. But you got to speak their language. If you don't, forget about it. If you're just a public adjuster that's worked a bunch of homeowners claims and a bunch of hail damage and stuff like that, you don't know. Trust me, I tried. And I'm a good talker, and I'm a good networker and I build great relationships, but I never really spoke that language of the contractor, especially in those large losses. And it was always very difficult for me to get commercial losses. So, all right, guys, time is up. I have to get my lunch in because I am freaking starving. And guys, I hope you have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the time. Take some time off. Enjoy your family. Get some rest. Recuperate. Re-energize to have a killer week next week. So, all right, guys, we are out of here. We are done. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next week. See you later. Thank you, Nancy.